Hello, my name is Mark Gochigoa, and this is going to be my industry case study. So, let's start. So, starting off, let's talk a little bit about me. Um, my ultimate goal is to work at Disney wherever I want, or anywhere in the world, really. Um, and I would like to move to Japan at some point. Um, my sister used to live overseas. She used to live in Europe, and I traveled around with her for a little bit and saw just all the amazing places over in Europe. And I learned a lot about Japan as well. And then I wanted to go there eventually. And me and my sister plan on going there. When I was younger, I would go to Disney a lot, at least once a year, to the one in California. And since I moved here, I got a season pass to the Disney World here as well. And I learned more about um, what it takes to really work at Disney as I got older in the audio industry. My sister had a connection at Disney. She used to work as an audio engineer at Disney as well, and she told me a lot about what it's like there. And yeah, so that's my ultimate goal. And so to help with that, we did this case study. And so getting into the first person that we did was a sweet gig. It was a lighting designer. His name was Oscar Dominguez, I believe. And I chose this person because lighting goes very well with audio. Um, in fact, it's rare to see any form of live show or anything like that that doesn't have some sort of lighting with it. At Disney, it's also a very important thing because it brings everything to life. Having audio and lighting mixed perfectly is a very important thing to create a cohesive show. And I chose him because he has a very unique um, position. So the people at the voice, every time there's a new person singing or there's a new show, they have a different lighting plot. They never use the same two lighting plots, which I thought was very interesting. And it requires a lot of work to come up with a lighting plot, so I can only imagine having to do multiple lighting plots per episode and never using the same one could be quite tedious. Um, so I thought that was a pretty awesome position, and I thought that would learning about him would help me understand a better relationship with audio and lighting. And so for this next one, he is a sound mixer. His name is Daryl Frank. He was the sound mixer for Breaking Bad. He started off as a camera operator, which I found very interesting because it has nothing really to do with sound mixing to running a camera. But it was kind of an opening position to be able to go into the field that he really wanted. It was a way for him to meet people and make connections and start his career in something that he really wanted to do, which was sound mixing. And so he talks about a lot of the challenges that went in for Breaking Bad because they started off not really doing any kind of music for it, and they had a lot of environmental issues when recording with different noises and things like that. And he said that it may have sounded good at the time, but when they would go back and listen to it with decent headphones and really focus on listening, it was not quite what they wanted. So his job was to be able to really focus in on that and fix those issues. And so some of the positions that we can start off with that would work my way up to the what I really want to do and work at Disney, which would be a front of house engineer would be nice, or something along those lines. A good entry level position could be a boom operator to make more connections and things like that. Their job is to assist the sound mixer, much like the person before, Daryl Frank. He he started off as a camera operator. I could start off potentially as a boom operator and um, learn how things work, to get advice from people, and kind of work my way up from there. But their main position, or their main job, is to basically just hold the boom mic. They try to find the best placement to get the best audio, um, for live for recordings and things like that. You don't really need any education, anything like that, so it's a good entry level position to make connections and gain experience. The next position was a sound designer. This isn't exactly entry level, but it is something that I always thought was very interesting. Um, this could be potentially a next step. Their jobs would be to create sound for various things. You do need a degree in a field related to this. This one specifically that I looked at involved video games, and they work closely with the writers and producers. Sound designers in video games are very important because they bring the entire game to life with sound. You can have all the visuals that you want, but sometimes if the sound is off, it kind of ruins the illusion. So, sound designers are very important. They work. Everything in a game has to be created, um, because obviously, when you create games, you don't have sound that just naturally comes with it. So, you have to meticulously go through each and every thing that you see and put a sound to it. So, moving on, we have a front of house engineer, which is what I want to end up as at some point. Maybe different. It maybe change. Sorry, it might change at some point, but right now this is currently what I'm hoping to do. Um, a lot of times they go on tour, and when they're on tour, they're in charge of all the audio equipment. They work very closely with the artists to make sure that the sound that they're creating um, represents them as a band and their album that they're performing at the time. And they do need a degree in or something similar with experience to work in a job like this. They're typically considered the lead audio tech. Their job is to repair equipment in the off time. So whenever they're not actively being a front of house engineer, they have to go over all their equipment and make sure everything is working properly. During the show, though, they are in charge of the mixing console and making sure all the artists are properly heard and mixed and everything works well.